Can a tourist find gold in Arizona? That is a speck of gold there. That's what we're going to try today. Now say you find yourself in Arizona, but you don't have a mining claim, you're not a member of any clubs, but you still want to go find some gold. Can you still do that? Well, I went on the old Google and asked it a question to see if there was a spot I could come. And the first thing that popped up was Lynx Creek. So this is the Lynx Creek day-use gold panning area in the Prescott National Forest. It's kind of a little spot carved out for people like me. I'll pause so you can read the rules. But in the meantime, let's go find some gold. And yeah, there's a biffy if you're wondering. Now in this spot, it's panning only. No sluice boxes, nothing motorized, but I pan mostly in Minnesota, so I'm used to that. When I look around, I can immediately see holes in the bank here, so I know people have been digging. I don't know what they've been finding, but I know they've been digging here. There's certainly enough water to start panning here, but it's iced over, so it's gonna be cold. I drove 2,000 miles and there's still snow. But on the looks of it, this place has been hit pretty hard. I mean, there's some pretty significant digging, some holes left behind. You're not supposed to leave your holes like that. It says so right in the rules. But I'm pretty sure nobody's digging that deep unless they're finding something. More holes here, and there's holes everywhere. Well, that's enough looking around. Let's get the tools and get to work. So I gotta think that nobody would go through all this effort to dig this hole down to this bedrock unless they were finding something. So I think it might be worth my while to take a few exploratory shovelfuls from down here and see if I can find something. It is quite hard digging. It doesn't even necessarily look like river deposits though. Like, it kind of looks like a colluvial deposit. You just kind of gravity slumpage from uphill. That's different than alluvial deposit, which is the river run gravels. But you never know. Let's take a test pan. It does look like there's some bedding there, so it does. Maybe it is river run. Let's break this guy out. There's just no room to swing this thing. All right, so I think that's enough for a test pan. Let's see if it's worth it. It's very dry, very muddy. It's a lot of dry clay balls I gotta break up. Interesting material. There's a lot of gravel mixed in with it. Doesn't look like rounded gravel. What do you think? What are the odds I'll find gold on my first ever pan in Arizona? All right, let's toss it back. It's a little black sand. That's good. I see gold. That's a nice little chunk of gold right there. Well, that answers that. A tourist can find gold. Now the question is, how much gold can we find? Now, it's great to see that little speck. To be honest, it's no bigger than any speck I found in Wisconsin or Minnesota. And I know there's good specks to be found here. That spot though is so hard digging. Even though I know it's on bedrock, it just doesn't look like good material to me. So I'm gonna poke around and see if we can find a spot that's a little easier digging that still has gold. Look at the size of these holes left behind. There's one there. There's another one there. Now these are really deep holes. I don't know if they were dug by somebody who knew what they were doing or by ambitious idiots. You can see the strata changes as it goes down. There's big gravels, cobbles, and sands, which I've always done really well in, and then it gets really fine. But you can see different layers in there, which is interesting. Now, I don't know if they landed on bedrock. I'm going to go check it out. But both of these holes are about just as deep. Oh, hope I can get back out of here. Is this OSHA approved? Do I need some shoring? All this down here, this is all alluvial. It's all sorted. You can tell that's river run sand. And then when it gets to about here, it changes. That's clay. There is a layer of river run sand there, but this doesn't look like a river deposit to me. I think that's kind of a landslide that covered some river deposits here. But all this stuff has been falling in, and there's nice loose material down here. So let's take a test pan of that. Some of you want me to dig a hole this deep every time I go out.
How about no?
Definitely did not expect to be panning in ice water in Arizona. Whew. Didn't even bring my gloves. Oh, splash in the butt. That's never good. Way more black sand in this run than the last pan I did. And there is some incredibly fine gold. Very fine gold. You can see on the top edge though, it's just loaded with really, really fine pieces of gold. It's hard for the camera to even see them. But there is fine gold on that edge. Now, if I was back home digging, I would be very happy to get down to this layer where there's this clay-rich material, because the clay acts as a false bedrock. It takes a lot of energy for that water to break up the clay. It sticks together very well. And you can see it was depositing some pretty big material on top of this clay layer. So I'm gonna try just kind of scraping the top of that clay into these cobbles and sands. And a few tiny little pieces of gold. So it's always a question, where do you set up for the day? I'm gonna keep poking around until I find something. When I do, I'll let you know. So here's another area where people have been doing an awful lot of digging. And I gotta think, if they're gonna dig this much, there's a reason for it. And I took a test pan and I found the best speck count that I've seen so far. It looks like good material to me, so I'm just gonna start running a bucket and we'll see what we get. Now, normally I classify material with my hand trommel here. This is a punch plate with 1/8" holes, and it's off of our friend the Flower Gold Wizard's design. But in Arizona country, I know there's a chance for a nugget, so I might want to use a bit bigger classifier. So for the day, I think I might go back to my 1/4" classifier. This is not as fast, but it gives me a good eye of the tailings I'm throwing away, and it gives a chance for that bit bigger gold to fall through. Last time I used one of these was when I worked landscaping. They'd say, hey, we got to put a drainage system under this gravel driveway. I'd be like, how am I supposed to dig through that? Here you go. So that's a little more than a half a bucket. It's enough for me to carry. But let's take a look at some of our geology here. Now, the tailings really doesn't look much different than what I find back home in Minnesota. There's some big pieces of schist, just loaded with mica, some felsic igneous rock, some mafic igneous rock. This looks like a piece of basalt. We got some silicification and alteration. So this was a rock that hydrothermal fluids went through, leaving behind a lot of hard quartz. So it gets kind of that cherty texture, and a lot of subangular pieces of material, similar to what you find in glacial till. Now that's what you'd expect to find in this area. A lot of mountain building, a lot of metamorphism and volcanism, just like up in northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Ontario. So very similar. What I'm interested in seeing is, are there any garnets around here? Because back home, where I find garnets, I find gold. And where I don't find garnets, I don't find gold. But let's grab our bucket and pan it. We'll know shortly. Even that might be a bit bigger bucket than I want to carry today. Still got to be a little careful with my back. So now what I'm going to do, just speed pan it all down. And when I start to see the black sand, I put another scoop on. Now, this is my first stop in Arizona, but I will be joining clubs, and I got some leads of people that'll take me onto their own personal claims. So if you want to follow along on that journey, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell. I'll be exploring all over Arizona for the next 3 months. Tell me I'm not supposed to round my back. I'm supposed to keep my spine nice and straight.
Like a lot of boys and girls, your posture is your problem.
And there's the last of the bucket. So much black sand. You can see a strong edge of black sand there, and there could be gold there. So I just want to make sure that I'm not letting the water come up and underneath, because that's a good way to float gold out. I'm trying to take the material off the center part, not so much here. And I don't put jet dry in the pan when I'm panning for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to put it in the river. I don't think it's good for the fish and stuff. And 2, if I put jet dry in there and then I do that, well, now I just threw all the jet dry out. So what's the point? All right, let's pull it back. See a piece of a rusty old nail. Lots of heavies, lots of black sand. And I'm starting to see some gold. And that's what we got, a little line of specks. Now, I'll definitely never complain about finding gold, but I know we can do better at this spot. That bucket didn't yield any more than I found in the Mississippi River. So we kind of have to have a different criteria of what a good pay dirt is. And when I look at this area, the guy that excavated this, he was working on this bedrock here. There's crevices and he's dug in, looks like he filled a hole here. But what I want to do is I want to try to kind of connect this bedrock and keep digging under. So I'm just going to excavate the overburden. Not going to pan that at all until I get deeper, closer to the bedrock, because that's what everybody says. Dig till you got bedrock. Well, I got a chance to explore the bedrock, so that's what I'm going to do. All the material wedged between these boulders, it looks pretty good, so I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to take it. But I'm going to switch to my hand trommel because it's faster. Now what would really make my day is to find a real honest Arizona picker. I know people find them here. I've seen it on the internet. Back home, those things that I call a picker, I don't know that anybody else would. Technically, I can pick them up, but it's a job. I think what most people call a picker is something you can just reach down and grab, like easily. But for a Midwesterner, if I can pick it up at all, it's a picker. But around here, I know there's those big pickers to find. So I hope I find one. But if I don't, that's still okay, because I'm still having fun. And that's what the half bucket yielded. Some nicer pieces, a little bit more size to them, so I think we're going in the right direction. So I'm riding the bedrock wall down, and then right here seems to be a bedrock ledge. It's exactly what I was looking for. So I'm going to try to dig that back as far as I can. I'll go back to my 1/4 inch classifier, just in case there's a nugget there. So there's another half bucket from that hole, scraping on the bedrock. I'm gonna finish this in my blue pan. It's got finer riffles. Today I'm just snuffering everything, so I'm taking it down pretty clean. All right, let's see how we did. Ooh, yeah, there's some better pieces in there. One-side pickers, but better pieces. Those pieces actually have a little bit more shape to them. That's the star right there. Look at that. Well, just keep on going in the same spot. And this is Obviously the water table, it's full of water, so I'm wondering if I should go grab my yabby pump and suck up the bottom. Maybe that'll be the last thing I do before we leave. My Australian fans like that, they called it a yabby pump. Wait, I got one better. I'll wear my hat Australian style with one side curved up. I think they do that so they can throw their boomerangs. I don't know, but that's for you Aussies. So another bucket from that hole. You guys know the drill.
Second verse, same as the first.
And that's what we got out of that next bucket. A few more specks. That's good. So down on there on that bedrock, it can be kind of hard to scoop it kind of clean because there's so many dips and little crevices. And that's where this comes in. This is a little PVC sucker, so I can vacuum up the bedrock and hopefully suck up those nuggets. Or a yabby pump, as my Australian friends say it's called. So, just got my bucket here, and we'll start to yabbying, I guess. So it looks like we yabbied up about a half a pan. Well, no pickers, but there are a few specks. And we'll yabby those into the snuffer too. So that hole over there has been producing some good fine gold. I got time for one more bucket, so I think I'd like to try a little bit different spot. And I see right here, somebody's been excavating all along this bank. And I've done really well in the past excavating along banks. So I think I'm gonna just fill a bucket, either a little deeper than where whoever was digging, or maybe I'll just extend it a little more that way. I did take a test pan and there is gold there, so I'm just gonna fill a bucket and see what we get. I can't get this open. Hold that end for me. Looks like good material. I'm just digging straight down, and I'm not digging any deeper than I would normally back home in Minnesota or Wisconsin. So it'll be interesting to see if the gold I get looks like what I find in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Down there are these big cobbles covered with clay, and I see stuff like that back home, and I do really well by it too. The material from the river does look a little more sandy. Every single pan, you just never know what you're going to get. I do know I'm going to get a lot of black sand every pan though. There is a lot of black sand in this area. So this is the last pan from that bucket. You can see how much black sand there is. I'm gonna put it in my blue pan to finish it. All right, let's pull that back, and this will be our last bucket. Unless we find something really good, then maybe we'll do another bucket. Oh, I see some gold. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Man, I should have been digging there the whole day. Wow. Those are some nice chunky pieces. It's not quite a picker. It's pretty flat, but I can feel it. Well, I guess that's why you poke around. I didn't know that was a spot to dig. I was trying to get on that bedrock like everybody says, but down in the stream there in the cobbles and clay was clearly the better spot to be digging. Well, we know for next time. So I'm gonna snuffer that up, and then we'll go ahead and head back to base camp. I lied, I got time for a few more pans, and then I'll see you at base camp. I lied again. You won't believe what I just found. I can't believe what I just found. Wow. Look at this. That is what I wanted. An actual true Arizona picker. Look at the size of that thing. Oh my gosh. That is the biggest piece of gold I have ever found. You can see it from here. Look at that. Won't even fit in the snuffer. Gotta do one of these. Now I really wish I'd been digging there all day. Wow. I got time for another pan. I'm gonna do one more pan.
And some folks say he's up there still.
All right, we're back at base camp. Let's do a snuffer dump. And that's what we got for the day. All this is kind of comparable to what I normally get back home, but these are definitely more than I get back home. Let's put it on the scale. Wow, 0.071 grams. Just that one picker is about as much as I get some days, on a good day. Now the rest. Wow, 0.129. So I'd say a tourist definitely can find gold in Arizona. That's a pretty cool place. It's definitely been dug hard, but there's still a lot of gold to find. And talking to a few folks there, they say it's one of the better places to go, so I might have to go back. But we will be visiting some club claims and some private claims too, so come on back for that. Thank you guys for watching. Come on back for the next one. Bye-bye.